Hello everyone, hope all of you are doing great, studying very hard at home. So today we are going to discuss Quant Accelerator Workshop 2. So we have already completed Quant Accelerator Workshop 1. I hope most of you have attended that workshop. So and all of you must be aware what we are going to do in this workshop. So what we are going to do in this workshop, we are not going to learn any new concept. Whatever we have discussed in our Quant in the previous classes, we are going to solve some difficult questions of that those chapters. So in this class we are just going to practice some of the questions of all the topics which we have discussed in the previous classes. So let's start this workshop. So let's start with a question. So this is question number 1. Take 40-50 seconds to get an idea what has to be done in this question. So just try it yourself and get a don't just do it, just try to get an idea what has to be done, then I'll be solving it for you. Okay, so most of you have got the idea what has to be done. So let me just explain the question once, then I'll be solving it for you. If a is equal to root 5 minus root 3 upon root 5 plus root 3, then find the value of a cube plus 1 by a cube. Okay, so we need to find out the value of a cube plus 1 by a cube. So if we directly put, there are two ways. We can directly put the value of a here. So it will become root 5 minus root 3 upon root 5 plus root 3 ka whole cube plus 1 upon root 5 minus root 3 upon root 5 plus root 3 ka whole cube. But it will take a lot of time to solve this question. So we will try to solve this question just by not by directly putting the value of a. We will be doing some adjustments and accordingly we will be solving this question. So the first thing which comes to our mind when we see a here, what is a? A is root 5 minus root 3 upon root 5 plus root 3. So first thing which comes to our mind when we see root in the denominator or surds in the denominator is rationalization. So we will be doing rationalization first. So we have to get rid of the denominator root in the denominator or the surds in the denominator. So how to get rid of surds in the denominator? We have to rationalize it. So we have to first rationalize the denominator of a. How can we do the rationalization? By multiplying numerator and denominator both by the conjugate of the denominator. So what is the conjugate of root 5 plus root 3? It is root 5 minus root 3. Just change the sign, that is called as the conjugate. So just change the sign of denominator. So in denominator it is given as root 5 plus root 3. So we will be changing the sign. It will become root 5 minus root 3. So we will be multiplying numerator and denominator both by root 5 minus root 3. So what I will be getting, root 5 minus root 3 upon root 5 plus root 3 was earlier there, into root 5 minus root 3 upon root 5 minus root 3. So that will cancel out. So it will not change the value of a here. So then it will become root 5 minus root 3 ka whole square in the numerator, and root 5 plus root 3 into root 5 minus root 3 in the denominator will become a plus b. A minus b is the formula of a square minus b square. So numerator will become root 5 minus root 3 ka whole square, which turns out to be root 5 ka square, which is 5, root 3 ka square, which is 8. 5 plus 3 will become 8, minus 2ab. So 2 into root 5 into root 3 is root 2 twice of root 15. So numerator would be root 5 minus root 3 ka whole square, which turns out to be 8 minus 2 root 15. And in the denominator it is given as a plus b, a minus b form, which is a square minus b square. So a square minus b square is root 5 ka square minus root 3 ka square. What is root 5 ka square? It is 5. What is root 3 ka square? It is 3. And 5 minus 3 will give you 2. So now this is the value of a, and now a is free of root in the denominator or free of surd in the denominator. Now, or we can say, we can again simplify it and get a to be 4 minus root 15. So from first again we can say, what else we want? We want 1 by a also. From first we can say a is root 5 minus root 3 upon root 5 plus root 3. Then what is 1 by a? It is going to be the reciprocal of it. which is root 5 plus root 3 upon root 5 minus root 3. This is going to be the value of 1 by a. Now again what we are going to do, we are going to rationalize this 1 by a to get it free of the root in the denominator. So we will multiply numerator and denominator both by root 5 plus root 3 to make denominator free of the root, or to rationalize the denominator. So what I will be getting, 1 by a is equal to root 5 plus root 3 upon root 5 minus root 3 into root 5 plus root 3 upon root 5 plus root 3. So numerator will now become root 5 plus root 3 ka whole square, and in denominator it is of the form a plus b a minus b, root 5 plus root 3 into root 5 minus root 3. So a plus b ka whole square is root 5 plus root 3 ka whole square, which is root 5 ka square, which is 5, root 3 ka square, which is 3, 5 plus 3 will become 8, plus twice of root 5 into root 3, which is twice of root 15. So 1 by a will become 8 plus 2 root 15 will come in the numerator, and what should be coming in the denominator? It is a plus b a minus b again. So root 5 plus root 3 into root 5 minus root 3. So root 5 ka square is 5 and root 3 ka square is 3. So 5 minus 3 will become 2. So the value of 1 by a here will become 8 plus 2 root 15 upon 2. So now we have got the value of a as well as the value of 1 by a. So now what is a plus 1 by a? It will be 4 minus root 15 plus 4 plus root 15. Root 15 and root 15 will get cancelled out. What I will be getting? 4 plus 4, 8. So we have got the value of a plus 1 by a. Now taking cube on both sides. Why to take the cube on both sides? Because in question we need to find out the value of a cube plus 1 by a cube. That we will only get, and we have got the value of a plus 1 by a only. Here we need to find out the value of a cube plus 1 by a cube, which is only possible after taking the cube of this expression. So now we have taken the cube of a plus 1 by a. What is cube of a plus 1 by a? What is a plus b ka whole cube? It is a cube plus b cube plus 3 thrice of ab into a plus b. So a plus 1 by a ka whole cube will become a cube plus 1 by a cube plus thrice of a plus 1 by a, which equals to 8 cube, which is 500. Now we know the value of a plus 1 by a, that is 8. We will put the value of a plus 1 by a here. What I will be getting? I will be getting the required value of a cube plus 1 by a cube, which is 488, which is option number C. So option C is going to be our answer in this question. So I'm just again explaining you what I have done in this question. We have been given the value of a and we need to find out the value of a cube plus 1 by a cube. One of the method would have been directly put the value of a, but if we directly put the value of a, it will become very difficult to solve this question. So what we have done, we have taken a, rationalized the denominator of a and got the value of a, and then taken the reciprocal of a, then again rationalizing, we will be getting the value of 1 by a. Adding both a plus 1 by a, will be getting the value of a plus 1 by a, and then taking the cube both sides, because we need to find out the value of a cube plus 1 by a cube, and just plugging the value of a plus 1 by a, will be getting the answer as option C. I hope it is clear to everyone. Right, let's move on to next question. Question number 2. So whatever be the question numbers are coming, these have been taken from the handout which you already have. So this is question number 3 of your handout. This is question number 2 of this class, but this is question number 3 of your handout. So for your convenience, I have put the question number from your handout only. So this is question 3 of your handout. So just try to get an idea what has to be done in this question. Take 30, 40, 50 seconds, around 50 seconds you take, then I'll be solving it for you. I hope most of you have just got the idea what has to be done. So this is the question from log. So we will be exhaustively using the properties of log in this question. So find the value of log base 1 by 3, log base 3 of log base 2 of 2 to the power 27. So in this question we are going to use a property of log again and again. What is that property? Log base a of b ki power m is equals to m log base a of b. So whatever be the power, we can take that power outside. So we will be starting from the innermost log and we'll be taking the powers outside and then solving it. And what is the value of log base a of a? It is 1. So we will be starting from the innermost log. What is that log? Log base 2 of uh, 2 to the power 27. So 2 to the power 27 is there. So 27 will be taken outside. It will be 27 into log base 2 of 2. And what is the value of log base 2 of 2? It is 1, because log base a of a is always 1. So what we have got? Log base 1 by 3, log base 3 of 27. Again we can write 27 as 3 cube, because 27 is equal to 3 cube. So again we can take the power 3 ki power 3 will be there, so 3 can be taken outside. So it will become thrice of log base 3 of 3. And again the value of log base 3 of 3 is how much? 1. So we can put 1 in replacement of log base 3 of 3. And in the starting, log base 1 by 3 is given. What is 1 by 3? It is 3 to the power minus 1. So we can write it as 3 to the power minus 1 as well. So base power can be taken outside. 1 by log base a ki power m of b. We can take that m outside by taking its reciprocal. We can take the power of that number directly outside, but from base, if we want to take the power, we can take the power, but by doing the reciprocal. So we can take minus 1 power. So 1 upon minus 1 is minus 1 only. So it will become minus log base 3 of 3. And what is log base 3 of 3? It is 1. So answer is going to be minus 1. So we have used three properties of log here. What is that? What are those properties? First property is log base a to the power m is m log a, right? So we can take the power outside. Second property which we have used is log base a of a is always 1. And the third property which we have used is if power comes in the base, then we can take that power outside by taking its reciprocal. So if 1 by log base 2 to the power 4 of 5 is given, you can take that power 4 outside, but it will come as 1 by 4, not 4. So this is how we can solve this question if we are very much aware of the properties of log. So please remember, or please learn all the properties of log, then only you will be comfortable with log. Otherwise solving log questions will become very difficult for you. Okay, so let's move to the next question. Next question is just get an idea, take 40 seconds to get an idea what has to be done, then I'll be solving it for you. You need not to solve, you just get the idea in your mind what has to be done, and just get the hold of the question, what question is asking and everything. Just read the question once and try to get an idea what has to be done. Okay, I hope you all have tried the question. So let me just do it for you. If the equation px square plus 2qx plus r equal to 0 and px square plus 2rx plus q equal to 0 have a common root, then which of the following option is correct? Have a common root means both of these are quadratic equations. So both of them will be having two roots each, and have a common root means one of the root of both the equations is same. So then which of the following relations holds true, or which of the following relations is true? So let's start solving this question. We do not know which one is the common root here, so let's take alpha as the common root. Let's take alpha is the root of first equation as well as the root of second equation. So let alpha be the common root of the two equations which are given to us. So if alpha is the common root, then alpha will satisfy these two equations. So if we put the value of alpha, then we'll be getting 0 in the right hand side. So instead of x, we can put alpha in first equation because alpha is the root, so it will satisfy the equation. So instead of x, we have put the value of to be alpha. So it will become p into alpha square plus twice of q into alpha plus r equal to 0. Similarly, alpha is the root of second equation as well. So instead of x, we can put alpha in second equation also. So after putting alpha in second equation, what we will be getting? It is again p alpha square plus twice of r alpha plus q equal to 0. So we have got two equation. We can just subtract both of them or equate both of them. So after subtracting both the equation, what I will be getting? 2q alpha plus r is equals to 2r alpha plus q. So we can take alpha alpha to one of the side and the constant terms to the other side. So 2q alpha minus 2r alpha, we can take 2 alpha common, it will be q minus r, and we can take r to the rightmost side, it will become q minus r. So q minus r will get cancelled out. So what is the value of alpha? It is 1 by 2. So we have got the value of the common root, or we have got the value of alpha here. So what we can do, we can put this value of alpha in any of the equations. So we have put this value of alpha in first equation. What I will be getting? Alpha or into x square, alpha into alpha square into p. What is alpha? It is 1 by 2. 1 by 2 square is 1 by 4. 1 by 4 into p plus twice of q into alpha. Alpha is 1 by 2. So twice of q into 1 by 2. 2 will get cancelled out. So it will be q plus r equal to 0. So from here taking the LCM, what we will be getting? P plus 4q plus 4r is equal to 0, which is option number B, which is correct option here. So what we have done here, we have assumed the common root to be alpha and then just plug in the value of alpha instead of x to get the two equations, then just subtract both of the equation and got the value of alpha. Q minus r will get cancelled out, we'll be getting the value of alpha, and just plug in that value of alpha in equation 1, we will be getting our required relation, which is option number C. I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay, so let's move on to next question. Okay, so take 40-50 seconds to get an idea what has to be done, then I'll be solving it for you again. Okay, so you must have got the idea what has to be done in this question. So let me just solve it for you. So first get the idea what has to be done in this question. The maximum value of the sum of the arithmetic progression 37, 33, 29, 25 and so on up till n terms for different value of n is. So this is some arithmetic progression is given. What is arithmetic progression or AP? AP is that series in which the difference between any two consecutive terms is constant always. That series is called as the series in arithmetic progression. So this series is in arithmetic progression where the difference between any two consecutive terms is always -4, because 33 minus 37 is -4, 29 minus 33 is again -4, 25 minus 29 is again -4, and so on. So till what term we should get the till what term we should add all of the terms of the series, till what term we will add so as to get the maximum value of the sum. For example, if I take n to be 1, then there would only be one term, which is 37. So sum is going to be 37 only. If we take n is equal to 2, then there will be two terms, 37 and 33. So sum is 37 plus 33. What if their n is equal to 3? The sum is going to be 37 plus 33 plus 29, because there would be 3 terms in the series. So this is decreasing AP. Why this is decreasing AP? Because common difference is negative. It is decreasing AP. So it will go beyond 0 also. So it will become negative also. So we are going to add till that positive, till the last positive term. Then last positive term. Then we will be getting the maximum value of the sum of this arithmetic progression. What I am saying is, to get the maximum value of the sum of the arithmetic progression, what we have to do, we have to add all the terms till the last positive term, because after that we'll be getting negative terms, and if we add the negative sum, then the total sum will become less than the previous value of the sum. So we have to add till the last positive terms. I hope it is clear to each of you. So let Tn be the last positive term. Let us suppose Tn is the last positive term of this series, where first term is 37 and common difference is -4. And what is the formula to calculate Tn? A plus n minus 1d. So any nth term in any AP can be calculated by using the formula A plus n minus 1d. So here also we can calculate the value of Tn to be A plus n minus 1d. What is A here? A is the first term, which is 37 plus n minus 1, and we do not know, and what is common difference? It is -4. We want this nth term to be greater than 0 or to be positive. Positive means this term should be greater than 0. This is what we want. So 37 plus n minus 1 into -4. So after solving, we'll be getting n should be less than 37 by 4 plus 1, which is n should be less than 10.25. So what is the first integer which is less than 10.25? It is going to be 10. So what could be the maximum value of n, or what should be the maximum terms which we can take, so that the only we will be taking the positive term. So 11th term is going to be our first negative term. So we are not going to take that term or beyond any term. So we are going to take only 10 terms. So we are going to sum this series till n is equal to 10. And what is the formula to calculate the sum? It is Sn is equals to n by 2, 2a plus n minus 1 d. So sum to 10 terms would be 10 by 2, 2 into first term, which is 37, plus 10 minus 1 into d is -4. So what I will be getting? Option D, 190 is going to be your answer. So let me just again explain you what we have done in this question. So what has been asked in this question is, there is a series, there is a AP series which is a decreasing AP. Why decreasing? Because common difference is negative. So if common difference is negative, which is -4, so this series is going to be our decreasing AP. So this will go beyond 0 also, so terms will become negative also. We want the maximum value of the sum of this series. So we'll be getting the maximum value of the sum if we will be adding only positive terms. So we need to find out which one would be the last positive term in this series. So let we have suppose Tn to be the last positive term, and how to calculate any nth term? A plus n minus 1t. We have just plug in the formula. So n should be less than 10.25. So obviously 0.25 term would not be there. Term is in integers. So the last term which we can take is 10th term. So we can take 10 terms. So sum of 10 terms, we can use the formula n by 2, 2a plus n minus 1t, to get the sum of all those 10 terms. So answer is 190. So 190 is the maximum value of the sum of this AP. I hope it is clear to each of you. Let's move on to next question, which is this. Just take 30-40 seconds to read the question and get an idea what has to be done in the question. I hope all of you have read the question and get an idea. Most of you have got the idea what has to be done. So the greatest value of n for which 1 plus 5 plus 5 square plus 5 cube and so on up till n terms is less than 1000. Now first identify what is this series. This series is in GP. Why GP? What is GP? GP is the geometric progression. Any terms that set to be, any series is set to be in GP when there is a common ratio. So the ratio between any two consecutive term is same, which is called as the common ratio. In this case, 5 divided by 1 is 5, 5 square divided by 5 is again 5, 5 cube divided by 5 square is again 5. So this is a series which is in GP, geometric progression. So the greatest value of n for this series to n terms is less than 1000. So we need to find out the highest value of n which is possible so that the sum is less than 1000 से छोटा रहे. So what could be the possible value? So given GP with the first term is 1 and the common ratio is 5. So Sn, we know the formula to calculate the Sn. This is a into r ki power n minus 1 divided by r minus 1, where a is the first term, r is the common ratio and n is the number of terms. And we want their sum to be less than 1000. So their sum should be less than 1000. Just plug in the values. First term here is 1. So a is 1. Common ratio r is 5. Number of terms we need to find out. So 1 into 5 to the power n minus 1 divided by 5 minus 1 should be less than 1000. So 5 minus 1 is 4. 4 multiplied by 1000 will become 4000. So it will become 5 to the power n is less than 4001. So 5 to the power n is less than 4001. But to get this value, we have to use the approximation. We know what is 5 to the power 5. It is 3125, which is less than 4001. And what is 5 to the power 6? It is 15625, which is greater than 4001. So this the value of n here, so the 5 ki power n is less than 4001. So 4001 is going to be somewhere between 5.5 ki power 5 point something. So it will be between 5 ki power 5 and 5 to the power 6, because it is more, 4001 is more than 5 to the power 5 and less than 5 to the power 6. So it would be between 5 to the power 5 and 5 to the power 6. So it is going to be 5 to the power 5 point something. So 5 to the power n should be less than 5 ki power 5 point something. So and we can say n should be less than 5 point something. So less than 5 point something, what is the first integer value? It is 5. So the least value which we can take is 5. So answer is 5. So the greatest value of n here is 5. Answer is 5, option C. But can we do this question without doing all this stuff, without using GP concept? Yes, we can do it. This is very easy question, because we know we are going to get the answer for maximum 6 terms we have to add. So what is going to be the term? First term is 1 plus 5 square is 25, 5 cube is 125. At least we have to take these terms. And the next term is going to be 5 to the power 4, which is 625. So I hope this is clear to everyone. 1 plus 5 square plus 5 cube, what is 1? It is going to be 1. What is 5? It is going to be 5. And what is 5 square? It is going to be 25. What is 5 cube? It is going to be 125. And what is 5 to the power 4? It is going to be 625. So after that, if we take 5 to the power 5, it is going to be 3125. Then sum obviously will be less than that. That only term is greater than 1000. So how can sum be less than 1000? So we have to take only till 5 to the power 4. So just by seeing the question, we can answer this question that we can take only 5 terms in this case. 5 to the power 0, 5 to the power 1, 5 to the power 2, 5 to the power 3 and 5 to the power 4. If we sum all of them, then the sum will be less than 1000. And if we take 5 to the power 5, so alone that term is greater than 1000. So how can the sum be less than 1000? So need not to solve it like this. This is the standard way to solve, but in this particular question, we can solve it orally also. I hope it is clear. Okay, let's move on to next question. So this is question number 8 of your handout. Just read the question once and then I'll be solving it for you. Okay, I hope all of you have read the question and most of you have got the idea what has to be done in this question. So question here is, if x cube plus ax square plus bx plus 1 is exactly divisible by x square minus 3x plus 2, then find out the value of a plus b. So how can we find out the value of a plus b? We have been given a cubic equation, and that cubic equation is exactly divisible by a quadratic equation. So if it is divisible by x square minus 3x plus 2, so it would be divisible by both the factors of x square minus 3x plus 2. So just find out the factors of x square minus 3x plus 2 once. So what is our x factors of x square minus 3x plus 2? We can just do it by simplifying this by splitting the middle term. What we will be getting, x minus 1 into x minus 2 equal to 0, or the factors here are 1 or 2. So we can say this cubic equation, the given cubic equation, is divisible by both 1 as well as 2. So if we on what we want to get the value of a plus b. So if we put x is equal to 1 in this cubic equation, what I will be getting, 1 cube plus 1 into a plus 1 into b plus 1 equal to 0. So what is a plus b? It is going to be minus 2. So a plus b is required in this question, so we have got the value of a plus b in this question. I hope it is clear to each of you. Okay, what we have done in this question, this cubic equation is divisible by this quadratic equation, so this would be divisible by its factors also. So we have taken the factors of x square minus 3x plus 2, and what is the factor of x square minus 3x plus 2? It is 1 and 2. So if 1 is the factor of x square minus 3x plus 2, so we can say x cube plus ax square plus bx plus 1 is divisible by 1 as well as 2. If we put 1 instead of x in this cubic equation, we will be getting the value of a plus b. So a plus b here is minus 2. So answer is choice A, minus 2 is your answer. Next question. Just try to get an idea what has to be done in this question. Okay, so what has been given in this question, 20 members have attended a party, 3/5 of them belong to a group A, 2/5 of them belong to group B, and 1/5 of them belongs to both the groups A and B. So how many members do not belong to neither of the groups? So we need to find out those members which do not belong to either A or B. Okay, so let's start. So total number of members are 20. So out of 20 members, how many persons belong to group A? 3/5 of the total. 3/5 of 20 is going to be 12. So 12 members belong to group A, and how many belongs to group B? It is 2/5 of the total. So 2/5 of 20 is going to be 8. So 8 members belong to group B and 12 member belongs to group A. And how many members belong to both the group A and B? It is 1/5 of the total. So 1/5 of 20 is going to be 4. So 4 members belong to both of the groups. So we can either solve this question by using Venn diagram or by using the formula. So let's just solve this question first by using Venn diagram from here. So we know that a number of person belonging to A is 12 and the number of person belonging to group B is 8, and the total number of person is 20, and the number of person belonging to both is going to be 4. If the total number of person belonging to both is going to be 4 and the total number of person in group A is 12, so 12 minus 4 is going to be 8. 8 is going to the person who belongs to only group A. Only group A. And what is the number of person who belongs to only group B? It is going to be 8 minus 4, which is 4. So 4 is the number of person who belongs to only group A. 8 is the number of person who belongs to only group 4 is the number of person who belongs to only group B. 8 is the number of person who belongs to only group A, and 4 is the number of person who belongs to both the groups. And if we add all three of them, what we will be getting? 4 plus 8, 12 plus 8. So what we will be getting? 4 plus 8 plus 4 plus 4 is 8, and 8 plus 8 is going to be 16. So 16 would be the total number of person which belongs to either group A, either group B, or both of them. And total number of people is 20. So 20 minus 16 is going to be 4, is the number of people who belongs to neither of the group. Either we can just visualize this from the Venn diagram, or we can solve this question from here by using the formula. So need not to solve this by a Venn diagram. We can solve it by using formula also. What is the formula? We know Na union B is Na plus Nb minus Na intersection B. What does Na union B represent? This is either A or B. What is A? Only A, only B. And what is Na intersection B? It is going to be both A and B. So we know the value of A. Number of person belonging to group A is 12. Number of person belonging to group B is 8. And the number of person belonging to both the groups is 4. So 12 plus 8 minus 4 is 16. So 16 is the number of person which either belongs to group A, group B, or both the groups. So if Na union B is this, what we need to find out? We need to find out the value of, or the number of person who do not belong to any of the group. Total number of person minus the number of person belonging to any of the group is the number of person who do not belong to any of the group. So number of person belong to neither group is equal to total minus Na union B. So 20 minus 16 is going to be 4, which is choice B. So answer is choice B here. I hope this question is clear. What I have done, first I have find out the number of person belonging to group A, then I have find out the number of person belonging to group B, then I have find out the number of person which belongs to both A and B, and then we will find out the number of person which belongs to either A or B or both. So the sum of all these is going to be 16. So 16 is the number of person which either belong to group A, group B, or to both the groups. And total number of person here is 20. If we subtract 16 from this 20, we'll be getting 4, and those 4 is going to be the number of person which neither belongs to group A nor belongs to group B. I hope it is clear to everyone. So answer is 4 here. So let's move on to next question. Question number 12 of your handout. Just read this question once, then I'll be solving it for you after 30 seconds. Okay, so what has been asked in this question? If Na is equal to 4, Nb is equal to 3, then the number of onto functions from set A to set B. So I hope you all have studied functions. So you have all have got the idea what are onto functions. So Na is the number of elements in set A, Nb is the number of elements in set B. So number of elements in set A is 4 and number of elements in set B is 3. We need to find out the number of onto functions from set A to set B. That has been asked in this question. So how to find out the what are the we know that the number of onto functions from A to B, where number of elements in set B is less than the number of elements in set A. How to calculate? If number of element in set B is R and number of elements in set A is N, and we know that R is less than N or N is greater than R, then how to calculate the number of onto functions from set A to set B? By using this formula, R to the power N minus RC1 into R minus 1 ki power N plus RC2 R minus 2 ki power N, and so on up till RCR into R minus R to the power N. So we can use this formula. I hope you have studied this formula in PNC, and if not, then please note in PNC or in onto functions, in functions you have studied this formula. So this is the formula to calculate number of onto function from A to B if the number of elements in set A is N and the number of elements in set B is R. So how to calculate the number of functions from A to B? R to the power N minus RC1 R minus 1 ki power N plus minus plus is alternating here, RC2 R minus 2 ki power N then again minus RC3 R minus 3 की power n, and so on up till the difference becomes 0. So RCR into R minus R की power n. Here difference is 0, 0 into anything will become 0. So please note this formula if you do not know. If you know it from your functions class or PNC class, then it is well into. So here the value of n is 4 and the value of r is 3. So just put the value of r and n in this formula, you'll be getting the answer. So we'll be getting 3 to the power 4 minus 3c1, because the value of r is 3 and the value of n is 4, minus 3c1, 3 minus 1 की power 4, plus 3c2, 3 minus 2 की power 4. We can take one more term also, minus 3c3 into 3 minus 3 की power 4. But 3 minus 3 is 0, 0 into anything will again become 0. So need not to take plus 0 also, right? So after solving, 3 की power 4 is 81. What is 3c1? It is 3. What is 3 minus 4 की power 4? 2 की power 4 is 16. 16 3 is a 48. What is 3c2? 3c2 is going to be 3 again. And what is 3 minus 2? It is 1. 1 to the power anything is 1. So 1 into 3 will become 3. So this is 81 minus 48 plus 3, which turns out to be 36. Option C is going to be your answer. I hope this question is also clear to all of you. So what we have done in this question, we need to find out the number of onto functions from set A to set B. So we know the formula how to calculate the number of functions from set A to set B if set A contains n elements and set B contains r element where n is greater than r. How to calculate it? R की power n minus RC1 into r minus 1 की power n plus RC2 into r minus 2 की power n, and so on up till it the difference will become 0. So r minus, in case of r minus r, difference will be 0. So we have just plugged in the value of r and n in this question and got our answer. I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay, so this was question number 12 of your handout. Let's move on to next question. Range question. So question number 13. Just read the question and try to get the idea in 30 seconds what has to be done. Then I'll be solving this question for you. Okay, I hope you all have read the question and most of you know how to solve such questions and got the idea what has to be done in this question also. So you need to find out the range of the function x square minus x plus 1 upon x square plus x plus 1. So how to get the range of such function where quadratic upon quadratic form is given or 1 upon quadratic form is given? There is a standard approach to get the range of this function. What is the range and domain? Domain are all those values of x for which this fx is defined. For this function is defined, or it will give a defined values. And what is the range of the function? All those defined values of fx, all those values of fx which we will be getting if we put any value of domain in this fx. So those are called as the range. So the possible values of this fx are called as the range. So we need to find out the range of a function which is in the form of quadratic upon quadratic. So if the function is given in the form of quadratic upon quadratic or 1 upon quadratic form, then we will be following a simple approach or the standard approach which I am doing here. So here the question is given, we need to find out the range of quadratic upon quadratic form. So how to solve it? First we will assume x square minus x plus 1 upon x square plus x plus 1 is equal to some y. Fx can be replaced by y also. So we can take either take fx or y. It is more or less same. So we can take complete denominator to that side. It will become x square minus x plus 1 is equal to yx square plus yx plus 1. Then we will be getting all the terms to one side, so that we'll be getting something in form of x square and so on. So we have taken x square common, it will become y minus 1. We have taken x square minus x plus 1 to the rightmost side. So x square y minus x square, we can take x square common, it would be y minus 1. And then again xy plus x, we can take x common, it would be y plus 1. Then y minus 1 is the constant term, that is equal to 0. So again we have got the quadratic in x form. So we have got the quadratic in x. So to get the real roots, what has to be done? For ax square plus bx equal to c, for any quadratic equation to give real roots, its d or the discriminant should be greater than equal to 0. What is d? B square minus 4ac. So for any quadratic equation of the form ax square plus bx plus c, to give the real roots, b square minus 4ac should be greater than 0. So in this case also, this is a quadratic in x, so its b square minus 4ac should be greater than 0, then only we'll be getting the real values of x. So what is b here? Y plus 1. So y plus 1 ka square minus 4 into a is y minus 1 and c is also y minus 1. So it will become y minus 1 ka whole square. This should be greater than 0. So this is a square minus b square form. So we can split them and accordingly solve them. So we will be getting this much. So or else we can solve it like this: a plus b ka whole square and a minus b ka whole square. We can open the squares. So after solving, we'll be getting quadratic again. We can factorize it. What factors we will be getting? We are getting two factors, 1 by 3 and 3. What we want? We want less than. So rightmost side is positive, then negative, then positive. So we can put the critical point. What are the critical point here? 1 by 3 and 3 is the critical point, and the rightmost side is positive, and then alternately negative positive will follow. We want this expression to be less than 0 or negative, so we'll be taking all the values between 1 by 3 and 3. So we have discussed all this in inequality chapter, I hope. So y belongs to 1 by 3 to 3. Why close bracket here? Because equal to sign is also there. So we can take 1 by 3 and 3 also. So option A is going to be your answer here. Range is 1 by 3 to 3. What I have done in this question, I am again explaining you. If the function is of quadratic upon quadratic form or 1 upon quadratic form, you have to follow this approach. What has to be done? You should assume function to be y and take the denominator to the that side, and then accordingly after solving you will be getting a quadratic in x, and to be real roots, b square minus 4ac should be greater than equal to 0. After solving, you'll be getting critical point. Just put the critical point on the number line and get the required range. This is the standard approach to solve this question. Is there any other approach to solve such question? Yes, there is one more approach to solve such question. What is that approach? We have discussed this in quant acceleration workshop 1 also. We can take the options. We can take the help of the option directly to get the answer. So we can take the we want the range of the function. So we can take any value from the option. So if option 1 by between 1 by 2, we can take 2. If 2 satisfies, then it is going to be our another answer. If one satisfied, so we can take the help of the options also, which we have discussed in quant accelerator workshop. So this is the standard approach if options are not given, but in most of your exams options are given, so you can take the help of the option by plugging the values from the options also. I hope it is clear to all of you. Okay. Okay, so let's move further. Let's move to next question. Question number 14 of your handout. Again, some inequality kind of question. One, just try to solve this question once, or just try to get an idea that I'll be solving it for you. Just take 30-40 seconds to get an idea. Okay. So let's just start solving this question. Find the number of integers satisfying the inequality. So what is the inequality given here? X square plus 5x minus 6, x square minus 6x minus 7 should be less than 0. So this is quadratic into quadratic form. In the previous question it was quadratic upon quadratic form, and here it is quadratic into quadratic form. And we cannot solve this by plugging the value from the option, because in option number of integers is given, not the range is given. So we have to solve this question anyhow. So how to solve this question? What has given to us? X square, product of two inequalities should be product of two quadratic equation should be less than 0. So we can take the factors by just splitting the middle term of both the quadratic equation. What factor we will be getting? X plus 6, x minus 1, x plus 1, x minus 7 should be less than 0. So again we have got the 4 critical points here. What are the critical points? These are minus 6, minus 1, 1 and 7. So we have got the 4 critical points. We can put these 4 critical points on the number line. So what we will be getting? We will be getting, if we put 4 critical points, we will be getting 5 regions. So what we want, this should be less than 0. We know the rightmost part is positive, and after that positive negative will alternate each other. So if 7 greater than 7 values will be positive, 1 to 7 will be negative, minus 1 to 1 will be positive, minus 6 to minus 1 will be getting again negative, and less than minus 6 will be getting negative values. What we want? We want this function to be less than 0 or negative values we want. So we'll be taking the range between 1 and 7 and the range between minus 6 and minus 1. I hope we have done all of such things in inequalities part also. So the solution set here is minus 6 to minus 1 union 1 to 7. So minus or 1 to 7 we can say. So between minus 6 and minus 1, which are, so question is not asking the range. What question is asking? The number of integers satisfying the inequality. So we want the possible or the all the possible integers here. So how can we get it? Between minus 6 and minus 1, how many integers are there? There would be minus 5, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2. And between 1 to 7, how many integers will be there? There will be 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. All of these integers will be there. So if we add all of them, how many integral values satisfy this inequality? So 9 integer values satisfy the inequality. So answer is going to be your choice A, option A, 9. I hope it is clear. What I have done here, I have just what is being asked in this question. Find the number of integers satisfying the inequality. First, remember they have not asked the range. If they would have asked the range, we could have taken the help of the option, just plugging the values from the option and got the answer. But now they have asked number of integers satisfying the inequality. So what we have done, we have just factorize both the quadratic equation and got the critical points and got the required range. And in the range, what are the integer point we will be getting? We'll be getting 9 integer point, which is going to be our answer. So I hope now it is clear to all of you that why we have solved the earlier question by using the standard approach. Because if in this question, suppose question would have been find how many integers satisfying this function fx is equal to x square minus x plus 1 upon x square plus x plus 1, and option would be like 1 2 3 4 5. So we could not have been solved by using the option. We have to solve it by using this standard approach. We'll be getting the range to be 1 by 3 to 3. And what are the integers between 1 by 3 to 3? It is 1, it is 2, it is 3. So answer is going to be 3 integers which will satisfy this function. So I hope it is clear to all of you why we are solving it, these questions by using standard approach also, because it will depend on the option whether we will be able to solve the question by using options or we have to go through the standard approach. I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay. So we'll be from this point we'll be continuing in the next part. So thank you very much.